Cool.
Okay, so like most of what we do is we want to anticipate not only what it is that you need, but also where you are in your business and in your mind space. So what we have done is we have changed our focus a little bit, and we want to chat to you about the power of an incentive. Now, I think the most important part of this is to um, I want to make a couple of statements, maybe straight off the bat before Taryn starts with her presentation, is that our business, one of the legs that our business is being built on, is an incentive, the ability to give something to get. Um, it's if you don't understand the gift to get concept, we must sit down and really speak about that. A lot of people look at it as sowing and reaping. It is a reward system. Why do people do? Why would a sales consultant go out and push her sales in the next couple of weeks, whatever the case may be? It is because there's some kind of a different reward in it. And part of our business is built on incentives. And we also understand the community-based aspect of it. And there's nothing that power boosts this whole story when you combine the community with the incentive. And I think that is really what is so important, is the fact that people live in a world out there which doesn't really leave them happy. Why would they stop on their way to work after they have fought traffic, after they had a horrible day at work, to pick up stock, to take it to a client? I mean, it's such a lot of effort. And what we create inside of a business is an atmosphere where they feel loved, valued, and this is more than just selling a handbag. And that's really just an integral part of our monthly business and why we need to really focus on this. This is such an important part of the business that if it is not part of your monthly planning, you are missing one of the legs that your business is standing on. And it's really more than a reward, because it's a reflection of how we not only value our honeys, but it's also a celebration of their efforts. And I think that is so important. We want to show them in a way that says, I care about you. I see you. That's one of the most important things people want to hear today is, I see you. And that is why incentives is so, so very important. I think the other thing that I want to say that I touched on it last week, I think I said it, if you give small, you will get small. And this is the hardest part. Now, I can remember when my business were not doing good. I really struggled to get past that. And I want to tell the story today of that. But my mother team leader always put out these incentives of giving a handbag for free. So if the sales consultant did 5,500 Rand or something like that, I can't remember the exact specifics, the consultant would get a free handbag of her choice. It freaked me out. And I looked at that, and in my one-on-one coaching session that month, I dared to step out and do the same incentive. I just copied and pasted just like she did. And she promised me, and she says, Corne, if you fall flat on your face and you cannot afford it, I will help you. Which gave me a safety net to say, okay, because in my mind, I thought to myself, if 10 people, now listen to my numbers, if 10 people makes the incentive, it means that I'm going to pay from my pocket 5,500 Rand. That freaked me out completely. But I had a little bit of that backup where she said, I will not drop you. I will catch you if you fall. And I set out on this incentive. And do you know what happened? Two things happened. First of all, I had a massive good month. But remember, I had the little back part of me that said, if I don't make it, my mother team leader will help me pay for these incentives. And in that same month, her husband passed away. And by the time I had to pay out my incentives, well, my humanity knew at that moment, I'm not going to ask her for help. But the moment I just had to push through that fear. I would never forget that day when I came to incentive payouts, like in this little hallway where I'm looking at right now, I packed those handbags and I packed a massive 23 handbags. And not only could I pay for them, but I learned at that stage how to push through a barrier because I had no other choice. It was the same concept where Terence said, you know what, she shared with Gary, I'm going to do 100,000 Rand, and he told everybody. It was the safety net was pulled right out from under me, and I had no other choice. So I just want you to know that when we talk about incentives, I've crossed all the fear barriers that are in front of you. I have done all the small thinking that you have done. And then I want to remind you that nobody benefits by you playing small.
I love that. I love that. And I think you've touched on such important things is I actually wanted to reframe the session and say, why don't incentives work? Because that is an open-ended statement. Incentives do work. They don't work because we play them small and we calculate them out of scarcity. So what do? Exactly what Corne said. We think, okay, if it all goes pear-shaped, let me make it the smallest thing possible so that I'm still not out of pocket or I'm still not in trouble. And I want to say to you that part of running a business and being a business owner is taking that risks. And if I go back to what I finished finally studying a degree in, your brain does not know the difference between what has actually happened and what you think is happening. And that when we talk about mindset mastery and we talk about understanding what it is we're telling our brains, we commit to playing small when we think small and we act small. And it is a very, very difficult barrier to overcome because small equals safe. And let me just tell you, it's not to say that the mother team leader wasn't going to be there had circumstances not happened that, but it was a fake safety net that gave Corne the ability to push forward. She just needed to convince herself enough that no matter what happened, it was going to work out. And when it actually does work out and you get to packing those 23 handbags, I think my eyes nearly fell out of my head as well. You realize that you can train your brain to think a different way, but for as long as you stay in the negative of something or the smallness of something, you will only get the small rewards. And so, of course, we have to be financially clever about the things that we do. Of course, we have to put planning and provision into it. And that's really what tonight's session is about. Incentives isn't something that we were taught, straight out of the back. We know that we need them. We know that we love them. And I think each one of us can go back to a point in our business journey and remember something that we were gifted. I've almost always cherished something I was gifted more than something I purchased myself. And that is the level of an incentive. It is something we talk about that is called perceived value, which we're going to get into a little bit. But at the base of all of this, and I think what I love so much about creating like the content and the thought process of this is there's one integral part when it comes to incentives, and it's what Corne said, it's community. You cannot incentivize somebody that you do not know. Yes, good incentives that are quick and easy and fast moving will work, but they're not going to deliver results. So what am I saying? I'm saying that the best incentives will be the best when you've targeted them at the right people. Sometimes we're trying to inspire a handbag lady with a miracle bee cream. It's not her thing. Sometimes we are missing the beat of what somebody needs in their life that they are not going to go and spoil themselves with. And that's what we do. As women, we're always looking after the families. We're always looking after everybody else. We're the last on the list when it comes to a little extra treats and a little extra spoil. And when we operate in a business like that, we give ourselves and our teams the ability to go and do that for ourselves. And I think that's what it comes down to is when you're building relationships in your business and you're having these courageous conversations and you're getting to know your consultants, you will quickly understand what motivates them and you will also quickly understand what scares them. And those are the points you need to work on. When you know what motivates somebody, that's when you dangle that specific carrot in front of that specific person. We cannot motivate everybody with the same thing, but if we get just 5 people that are working towards something that they want, you will see your incentives start to take shape. So we've put together a really, really awesome offering. And I want to say to you, this is just a sample of what is available to you. And it is not limiting you in any way to do as big and as bold as you want. We spoke about it last time in our open discussion. There was the flip-flop incentive. For myself, I've done air fryers, I've done homeware, I've done spa vouchers, but I never ever did it as a blanket approach. I never did it because I thought it was nice and I would put it out there. I worked with my team. I got to know who likes what, who enjoys the spa, who doesn't enjoy the spa, who could do with extra bucks in their pockets, who maybe wants something pretty that they're not going to invest in for themselves. And I think that's what the basis of the business is. If we have not done the fundamentals of connecting with our people, getting to know who is in our business, it's not just about the know your numbers. It's about those numbers in my business. What makes them switch on? What makes them excited? What makes them see everything in their business, not as extra effort, but as a reward for themselves as well? And then I think just in general, there's no better feeling than getting a gift. There is no better feeling than getting a gift. And we ran this poll last week as well, where we said, in any of your customer experience journeys that you've been in, it doesn't matter if you were buying a car or if you were just at the Woolies, or what is one thing that makes you feel extra valued? And majority of everybody said it was a token of appreciation. That's what an incentive is. It is a token of appreciation for someone committing to a goal, showing up for a goal, and then being rewarded for the goal that they put together. So I think when you get to the concept of incentives, you're really going to have to ask yourself to forgive and forget all the times where they didn't work, but to know better now and how to implement it. And again, it's in the fundamentals of knowing who your team is. And so incentives also, what I found is after a while, if you don't change them up, they get a little bit boring, but it's because you're not connecting with your people. When you've done the fundamentals and you've built the relationships, incentives become the carrot that you need to drive the sales that you want. And so Cornette touched on this give to get principle, reap what you sow, do all of those things, however you want to call it. It's about giving to get back, but not with that exact expectation. It's sometimes just about showing somebody that they are more than just a number in your team, and that you have honestly and truly been tracking their performance. You've been watching them place their orders. We are not glorified admin people. We are leaders in a business. So when we are doing the admin, which I can tell you now is not my favorite thing either, I don't look at it as admin. I look at it as insight into how I'm going to grow. If I know who's ordering, if I know who's tracking for something, I know what conversations to have with them, I know how to motivate them, and I know how to get out of them what they are capable that also helps my bottom line. We also create a lot of loyalty when we give incentives. And I think the most detrimental thing you can do with an incentive is to launch it and not honor it. And so again, I want to say whatever you do in your business, if you cannot do it consistently and if you cannot do it with discipline, don't do it. But incentives is something you cannot afford not to have in your team. And then I want to say tonight is at different price points that we've put some things together for you. But as Corne mentioned, big incentives brings big sales. If we're only going to incentivize people with a small set of earrings that they probably could have purchased for themselves, we're not driving that intrinsic motivation. We're not driving that passion that really breaks barriers for people. And guess what? Just as we have those fear points in our business, consultants have those fear points as well. There's something somewhere along their journey, whether it's previous history, whether it's upbringing, that also puts a little bit of fear in them to maybe go out and approach people. And so when you're building incentives, it actually gives you a great opportunity to work through the challenges your consultants have. Those one-on-one sessions with the right people have the ability to change your business. And that's what we've got to get down to. It's like going to the dentist when you need a root canal and only having a filling. It's not going to help for very long. It will fix the problem for a short while, but we've got to get to the root to treat the problem. And the root is getting to know the people that are in your business. So when we speak about incentives tonight specifically, we're talking about our consultants, because let's just go back to the business model. Consultants is where the business starts. Each team leader has direct consultants. That is the mass of our earnings. We then have our elite entrepreneurs who also have consultants. And of course, if you have pruned and primed an elite entrepreneur and she has grown up in your team, understanding incentives, tracking for incentives, achieving incentives, she goes out there and she sees the value of putting incentives in place for her team as well. And then I want to say is, although we are talking about consultants tonight, and Corne, I'm going to ask you to elaborate on this point. We spoke about it a little bit earlier. Just because a consultant falls into your elite entrepreneur group doesn't mean that she can't be part of your incentive. Now, you've got to watch where you are double accounting, but you've also got to be careful not to exclude the people who could really bump up your sales, whether they are in your direct line or whether they are in your elite entrepreneur. So, Corne, I'm going to ask you just to elaborate on how you would put together incentives the two different ways, whether it's a consultant in your elite entrepreneur or whether you would go half in with an elite entrepreneur for her team.
Yeah, thank you, Taryn. I think it's very important, especially when you promote an elite entrepreneur. She comes out of your team really understanding the business and really had that loving feeling of receiving her incentives. I think a huge mistake that a team leader makes is now to put out an elite entrepreneur and never do an incentive to her ever again. Elite entrepreneur area has actually is supposed to be the place of growth, but it actually became a place where you can move admin and collect money for free. And I think that is one of the things that you have to ask yourself is, did you step into that trap? Now, what I usually did is I would do the same incentive. So the same concept that I would do for my sales consultants, I will do for my elite entrepreneurs, just because the admin is easy. I hate admin. Okay. I would, however, work my totals differently. Now, I would have an incentive for my team, and I would decide, am I doing an incentive this month to my elite entrepreneur, the leader, or am I including her top sales consultants in it? Now, I never used to incentivize all the people in her team. I would only incentivize the top sales consultant in her team if she makes the minimum that my sales consultant makes. Then I would acknowledge her. So that pushed the sales of the elite entrepreneur. But if I incentivize the elite entrepreneur's top sales consultant, I would not do one to the elite entrepreneur, because I have to make sure that I don't overspend. And when I then did that incentive to the top sales consultant in the elite entrepreneurs team, we would split the costing 50-50. So on my elite entrepreneurs, before I promote the incentive to them, I will say to them, this is the incentive. If you want to run it in your team, we'll go 50-50, and this is what the cost will be. And then I took it down, and I would say, let's say Arminda says, yes, she's going to do it. I will put down in my diary, she's in. And my elite entrepreneur, Hanneke, says, no, thank you. Then I know I don't have to include her. And then I allow them to promote that onto their team on their own. Sometimes I would do an incentive to my elite entrepreneur that she can share. I will have a miracle bee, and a honeybee, and a collagen, and she can then use one of those items to pass it on. So I do believe that as much as we give to them, they also need to learn how to give themselves. Because remember, I'm duplicating myself here.
And I think that's one of the most important parts, is we are all sitting with elite entrepreneurs in our groups that aren't necessarily performing at the level that we want to. And I want you to think about this and ask yourself, how much knowledge do they really have on the background working of incentives? How confident are they in costing something? And now remember, they're not earning at our 16, 18, 21%. They are at 5 and they're either at 10. So while they love the idea, if we don't give them the structure and if we don't stand in as a safety net, like we mentioned before, we give them a distasteful idea about incentives, they will be the ones that will say to you that they don't work. They will be the ones to say that they haven't earned and they've paid out for more than the incentive. So our elite entrepreneurs are leaders in their own right, but they're not team leaders. They still need insights. They still need guidance, and they definitely still need the help of their mother team leader. And you can really, really get creative with this. I mean, sometimes if you are still in the fortunate position where you have got some office stock that you can make work, great, because then your incentives end up costing you next to nothing. But if you're at the point where you need to purchase in things and you need to grow things, when you know who's in and when you know who's out, you can also do that horrible word that none of us like, you can budget. I don't think there's anyone here on this group who likes that word. In fact, I think that swear word is the worst swear word ever. But we'll talk about that one next time. But that's the whole idea, is when you are crafting your incentive, really think about it. It's not just about, okay, well, I haven't incentivized my team and I've got a miracle bee sitting on my table, I'm going to just chuck it out. Ask yourself, what is the result that you want to get? And I'm not talking about the sales result. We're talking about moving mass amounts of people in the right direction and keeping them focused on sales. Who are those people? Now, this is when you have to go back to know your numbers. Are you just talking to your direct consultants? Are there one or two shining stars within your elite entrepreneurs that you maybe haven't focused on? Remember, we are also in the position to help our elite entrepreneurs promote further elite entrepreneurs, which means we have to have a handle on their business. We need to know who is in their team. We need to know who is capable of what sales targets. That's how we grew our butterflies. That's how we became mother team leaders and mentors, is because we knew who was in our business, not just in our direct line, but in our Style Station elite entrepreneur, whatever phase they were, we knew who we could count on. And again, we didn't just know them by name. We knew what they liked. We knew what would excite them. And we built our incentives around there. So again, a lot of collaboration, a lot of communication, but a lot of insight into knowing your business and understanding who is in your business as well. So Roberta actually picked this up beautifully for us last week, and she spoke about perceived value. And I wanted to just give you the definite definition and understanding of it is when a customer or a consultant or whoever believes that something has huge amounts of value, not because of what it costs or what it does. What does that mean? It means it's got value to that person as an individual because of what they want. So again, I'm speaking to you. Don't go and incentivize the handbag lady with a miracle bee. Go and understand what she sees as huge value. Can you imagine the photo, what that photo of 23 handbags, because of course they didn't just go out like that. They had cellophane, they had ribbons. I can already see the whole thing. What that perceived value looked like. Even for someone who didn't achieve an incentive that month, she must have looked at her team leader and been like, this lady really does have a business. This is a business. Look at all these people are receiving these awards. And so incentives also have the ability to motivate and inspire people, even if they're not achieving them. But again, we go back to how are we driving this and how are we keeping it alive, which we're going to touch on a little bit later. You know this best when you know your consultants. So it's really and truly about building those relationships, understanding what value is to them, because value is different to different people. And it doesn't necessarily, value doesn't mean expensive. It means what is important to a person. And that's what perceived value is. When Corné spoke about, giving a customer a beautifully wrapped gift, and we went on to say, sometimes the way we deliver our parcels makes a customer forget they've actually purchased the product. They maybe think that they've won the product. That is perceived value. Perceived value is in your small tokens of appreciation. It is in your additional effort. It's about taking a tiny little plain orange pen, but when I give it to that person thinks, wow, I have been thought about. Wow, this is for me. Wow, this is a lot of effort that's gone into it. And so when you are looking at perceived value, again, it doesn't have to be an expensive exercise or an expensive incentive. How you put it together, how you drive it, how you keep it alive, that's where your perceived value builds into your incentives. So don't stress yourself if you're not in the position to go and get an air fryer for your team this month or endless amounts of data. It's about how you're going to make it look like its most valuable asset within your team. And again, that comes down to communication. So costing incentives is definitely something that I know by experience has put a lot of us off, maybe hurts us a little bit because we didn't know how to do it. And so I wanted to teach you tonight how I have always costed incentives. And again, it might not be where you feel safe playing, but I'm referring back to Corné's safety blanket, and I'm referring back to the give to get exercise. And I'm saying that when you are calculating your incentives for your direct team, base it on your minimum level. And I'm talking about that where you find yourself now, where you are still building your business up to where it needs to be. You still need to get to your desired earnings level, but we know that this is a leg we need to stand on in the business. So our minimum earning level, and remember, I'm talking direct consultants now, is our 16% variable. So if we had to set a target for a consultant at 2,500 Rand and she achieves that target, that means that we technically earn 400 Rand off of that sales target that we've given her. And a safe and healthy bracket to operate while you are building in is to never incentivize more than 20 to 30% of your earning. 20% when you've got few people that are still building with you, 30% when you're getting to your 23, 24 people that are now qualifying for a handbag. And so what is 20% of your 400 Rand earning? It's 80 Rand. Now, some of you might be like, sure, 80 Rand is a lot of money and I need that in my pockets. And I hear you, I get you, and I understand it. But when we're talking about longevity, when we're talking about legacy, and when we're talking about building a culture of incentives and what people actually want to achieve in an incentive space, we have to put in a little bit extra. So if that 80 Rand is not for the entire incentive, and maybe it also includes your beautiful ribbon or your card or however you deliver your incentive, that is where you want to be in terms of a 20% on the earning that you got. And so it's quite easy to calculate incentives going forward when you have a bit of a formula. And this is something that I've used. Again, I'm strategic about it. I don't do a blanket approach across the whole thing. I make sure that I know where my business is at that point in time. If I'm struggling to meet my targets, if I'm struggling to get to my 25,000, then I'm going to drop it to the 20% so that it's still substantial, but that I'm definitely not out of pocket. And you can work these numbers however you go up and work at your team level. Of course, when you get in your 50,000s, when you're back in the 100,000 Rand club, you can afford to give a bigger incentive, and you should. The better your team does, the better your incentive should be, because there is a link in psychology about performance around that as well. When your team sees that there's more up for grabs, they know that the effort that they've given the business is showing a better result for everybody. And that's what incentives have the power to do as well. They're there to influence thinking, they're there to challenge behaviors and thought processes, but they're also there to show people what is available when the team actually unites as a team and grows. And so be very careful when you're launching your incentives and not as many people have qualified as you would have hoped. Never ever take the positivity away from an incentive. If only one person qualifies for it, shout as loud as you would for 23 people qualifying for a handbag. That is the most important, because for that one person, that was your opportunity to say, I see you, I hear you, I'm grateful for you, keep going. And slowly but surely, as we've always built the business, the wheels will turn, the cogs will turn, and next month there'll be 2 people. The next month there'll be 3 people. There's no quick way to fire off an incentive into your team, especially if you haven't been doing it. That is going to instantly take your business from 25,000 to 100,000. Because trust me now, if that was the case, we'd all be in the millionaires club within month 3. It is a thought process, it is a pattern, and it is a behavior that we sometimes need to either reintroduce into our business with a more positive spin, or maybe simply actually just introduce it into the business for the first time. But I hope that understanding the little bit of costing around this can give you a more solid way of approaching how to build this into your business. What you get for that 80 Rand, completely up to you if you're doing something else. You can be very creative when you go shopping. And I'm going to share what I did as a 12-day challenge at the end of this presentation, just to keep the month of October strong and focused as well. You'd be surprised, not everything in the shop is as expensive as we see. You just have to do a little bit of shopping around. All right, so what we have prepared for you, and you will get this tomorrow, is we have done a beautiful incentive brief for you. And this brief includes the importance of incentives, as well as some of the beautiful products that we will be putting together at a non-discountable rate to you for you to use within your teams. Now, if we go back to this concept, we're talking about shop in your own shop. It's something I still firmly believe in, because what is the one thing we always say to a new consultant? Wear your products. Now, if that consultant's not in a position to afford to wear her products immediately because, hey, she's joined this business to make money, that extra 100 Rand, that extra 600 Rand, that's probably for a purpose. Let's show her how she can earn her products in her business so that she's got something to showcase, she's got something to talk about, and that she feels part of her own business and her brand. Now, again, if you don't know your consultants, you're not going to know how to incentivize her. Always tell a story with your incentives. Always make sure, why is this month's incentive? Why do you love it so much? What are you energized about it? And what would you love to see your team achieve by working through this incentive? And incentives are a double win. It means they get rewarded for their sales, but it also means they get commission. And that's the real reason that they joined this business. So going back to the brief that we'll be putting out tomorrow, you'll see we've selected a couple of items that we have given to you at a non-discountable price. And I have set a recommended sales target in terms of the costing structure that I've just given you, so that you don't fall out of pocket, but that you're giving something really, really worthy away to your team as well. So for these beautiful Signoretti necklaces, we've got one in gold, we've got one in silver. I'm saying to you, set this at a 4,000 Rand sales incentive. The cost to you is just 230 Rand. Again, remember, it is non-discountable, but it's the value of the product that she would not have purchased. Now, again, I want to say to you, don't just put the necklace out and say, I'm giving away this necklace for anyone who does 4,000 Rand sales. First of all, just the sound of 4,000 Rand sales for a new consultant is enough to make them panicked. And number two, they don't see the value in this product because I've just joined the business. The catalog has got so many options. I haven't seen any of them. What is unique about this product? And so I want you to really get behind your product knowledge when you are launching product-based incentives and put your personal spin on it. Anyone who's been in this business for the longest time knows that these were some of our staples that started almost 30 years ago. And if you go back to your catalogs from all those times ago, you'll see that the retail selling price hasn't really changed over the years. Considering all the inflation and all the import taxes, it's quite phenomenal to see. But I think the most important thing is making sure when you give somebody a sales target that you show them how. How am I going to get to 4,000? Because again, I don't think we as team leaders have even got to the point of breaking down our numbers and simplifying our numbers. Sometimes I feel super silly when I look at how easy it could be to get that 20,000 Rand. It sometimes equates to something ridiculous like 1,500 Rand by 10 people. And I'm just like, how did I not figure this out? Now, if I, as the leader, am not focused on breaking it down into the finer detail, I can tell you now, my consultant is not equipped to go out and say, okay, how many clients do I need to see to get you? And that's where we fall short on incentives. We forget to show people the how. Don't focus too much on the sales value, rather focus on what they need to do every single day and show them how. Just by doing that little thing every single day, it will equate to this big number. Lastly, always attach earnings to it. Always say, not only will you have achieved this amount of sales, not only will you have achieved this incentive, but you will put approximately, because remember it's either 20 or 15, approximately X amount into your pockets. Really solidify the importance of incentives is for the gain of the consultants. So we have 2 of our beautiful necklaces. We then have got 4 of our bracelets. There's just difference in sizes here. So again, gold and silver. And here we're putting to a recommended sales target price of 3,000 Rand. So the cost to you is at 170. Remember, again, I've calculated your 16%. It's not always to the T. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less. If you feel like that's a little bit of a stretch, there's nothing wrong with making your incentive 3,200 or 3,400. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to outsell your incentive and make it not worth it for what they're going to get. So you have to look at the value. You have to understand how you're going to offer perceived value. You then need to make sure that you can show the consultant how to get to that amount by focusing on a daily total. And then lastly, you have to track that daily total with the consultants because an incentive is only as exciting as you make it. And best believe it, posting it once is never gonna get the message home. You have to post it about, oh gosh, 100 times before people understand that this is for them. And that's really the understanding is your most successful thing you can do in this business is in explaining the obvious. And I'm going to say it again. The better you can be at explaining the obvious, the more successful you will be in this business. Take your history away, take the amount of years you've been in this business, go back to the simplest of basics and ask yourself how quickly you could pick those up. And ask yourself if that's the same for your team as well. We need to be able to show someone straight off the streets, if they can just sell this item every single day for 13 days, this is what it will look like. We're here to grow the bigger picture for our team, but we're also here to show them how. And then a nice thing that you might want to do, and I don't specifically say group the totals together, but you could do a beautiful build on incentive with this. You could start in month 1 with the necklace, and in month 2, they can match up a set. Again, go back to something that creates longevity and go back to something that they can build onto and they can accumulate, something they wouldn't usually do for themselves. It's almost like guaranteeing yourself a gift every single month. And if you put it into those words and you show your consultants what that means, that's a lot more attractive than saying, give me 3,000 Rand sales and I'll give you this. We've got to be more strategic in the way that we position our incentives. Then, of course, we do have our smaller flyers, our new consultants, sometimes those people that have been inactive but have got great potential. And we all know earrings are a staple for all women. And so at 2,000 Rand recommended sales target, at just a cost of 50 Rand for you. Now, I promise you, these earrings have saved more relationships, business relationships than you will ever believe. Go back to when we had the sets of them, go back to when we had the singles ones. Even if this isn't an incentive and this becomes a great after client purchase, maybe she purchases for a really great value and you want to say thank you to her. A 50 Rand investment on top of an order that she wasn't expecting to get, go back to that small token of appreciation That's how you build loyalty with your people. That's how you keep bringing them back to you. That's how you show them that you are the place that they need to shop at. And so we've tried to give you something where you can really cost straight out of your honey shop at all different levels, but there's absolutely nothing stopping you from building your own little bundle now that you understand how to calculate at a reasonable experience. And I hope that you can see that in what we've shared as well. And then, of course, we couldn't not give you a handbag because they are our handbag ladies who are dying and drooling and just want to have it, but for some reason they don't invest fully in themselves. And that's probably a cost factor. So let's show them how they can earn it. And again, if 7,000 Rand sales is a stretch for a consultant in 1 month, nothing is stopping you from breaking that 7,000 Rand into 3.5 and 3.5. Not every incentive needs to run for 1 month and 1 month only. It's about getting the most out of that person where it's still manageable for them. So again, strategic thinking when it comes to incentives. Don't just do an incentive because Taryn and Corne said I have to, and it's part of monthly planning and tick. Ask yourself, what result do we want? Ask yourself who you're talking to and how you can get that sales, even if it is over a 2 month period. Corne,
Karen,
do you want to add? Yeah.
so when I did that first incentive on the handbags, I did exactly just that. I did a 7,000 Rand minimum target and I divided that in 2 months because it also helped me to overcome my fear.
Yeah.
Because what I could do in the first month, I obviously earned some commission already, and I could purchase in month one the bags that was already qualified. So that also helped me to manage my fear a little bit.
And that horrible word budget.
Yes, yeah. Well, then there comes that ugly little word again. But doing a 7,000, and right now, what we need to look at is, we've got we've got 2 weeks to go. Then we've got 2 weeks in the beginning of December, and we've got 4 weeks in October. So we can very easily launch a 2 month incentive from tomorrow and run it until right before Christmas, which then you change your bows to green and yellow or to green and gold or to green and red, and you make it a Christmas gift. And I must say, I chose this handbag because I am completely in love with this handbag. This is literally the handbag that I grab. If I don't use the legacy handbag, it would be this one. It's so versatile. It's such a great size. It's a beautiful a bag. And it comes from one of my favorite suppliers. You know, you always have favorites. Yeah,
Just
okay.
had to throw that one in there.
I love this supplier as well. So that's really just one way that you can really think of it, is to just do it the next 8 weeks. Sharon.
And I think that's it. It's the energy around incentives. If you are not excited about the incentive, I don't even need to explain this to you. Wherever your energy is at is where your team is going to be at as well. And so even if it's not the most desired thing that you want or can afford right now, you go out there and you show them that it is the most perfect thing for them to earn, because that's what it's about. We're creating energy and we're creating momentum here. Even better when we can give something back from our own shop. I'm a strong believer in we sell our brand first by wearing it. And still to this day, I mean, I think about my honey sneakers. There are still those people that know about the business, but they'll come to you and be like, honey makes shoes? And I almost want to say, like, have you been under a rock? But the reality is they knew a version of honey. They didn't know how far we've gone into our business. And so before I had to find a customer, just by me walking out, getting dressed, doing what I need to do, I have a talking point and I have the confidence to talk about my product because I enjoy wearing it as well. And then last but certainly not least, and please don't stress to worry about anything on this presentation. You will get the full brief tomorrow, and I'm going to take you through what it looks like just now. But we've got our sunglasses. We always have our consultants that love sunnies. This is the perfect item at a really, really good value price and also at a minimum sales target level, especially ahead of the beach season. Sunglasses is the time is now. Go and invest in a pair for yourself and start driving that incentive in real life. Don't just use the image on the app. Don't just use an image off of a promotion thing. Start adding it into your morning motivation. It's 140 Rand, and I'm telling you now, that will be someone's incentive that you will give away. Find creative ways to put your incentive wherever you go. I'm already thinking, taking my sunnies everywhere. I'm going to take a photo of next to my coffee table when I'm working. I'm going to take a photo when I'm walking in the forest. And I'm going to say, my glasses follow me everywhere. Who would like a pair that does the same? It's about creating that energy and that excitement around that. And again, also going back to our minimum sales targets. Minimum sales targets were part of the reason that we had incentives, is so that we knew how to cost them and we knew how we could climb up to the version of our sales targets that we wanted to as well. So I think it's personally a beautiful range of items, very well costed. So thank you, head office, for that, because it's never easy to get right prices at these points. But again, I want to say it's the energy and the purpose that you put behind the incentives. Whether you're going to do an eight, oh, I can't believe the fact that you said it's like 8 weeks to Christmas. I almost died there. So now that we're all in panic mode, just take a moment to breathe. But you can do an 8 week countdown. You can do something every week and build it. You can build up a base and start at sunglasses and end at handbags. The sky is honestly the limit for you. These are just guidelines and costing ideas. What you do with it, how you package it, how you sell it, is completely up to you. And I want to say again, if you've got an idea and you want to work the costings and you need somebody to check it through, we are here to help you do that. Until you're comfortable and confident to build it yourself, shout, send it to a friend. What do you think? What would you add? What would you take away? Does this work? But don't forget the how in the incentives. That is the most important thing. And so when it comes to ordering your incentives, I'm just quickly going to take you through that. They're going to be linked on specific codes. So what I don't want you to do tonight is to go onto the app and try and order them by the picture you see on the app. They then will come at full price with commission, and then we can't honor the incentives. In the brief you receive tomorrow, we'll give you the specific item codes that apply to the price points of these incentives. So the brief will look exactly like this. There is a page 2, and I didn't put it up here in case someone took a screenshot because I've learned. But we will give you the price points and you will place it just as you would on a normal order. You place it through your app on that specific code. It falls into your weekly dispatch. It's no different. We don't have a separate form and a separate person to speak to, and it's not going to get lost in the system. It will follow your dispatch. It will follow your order process. It's just about the specific code. So please be very careful when you are placing it, and place it by the code you see and not the image that you're looking at off of tonight's presentation as well. And then I want to say, and I've said it quite a couple of times going through the session, is keeping the incentive alive is the most difficult part, but this is where you really get the reward. You have to track the progress of your people. And there's nothing better to create momentum and energy on your team when people start bringing in sales. Again, it doesn't matter if they sold one Miracle Bee today, one collagen today. When you can start showing, congratulations to Hillary, who's already halfway to her incentive. Congratulations to Corne, she's achieved her incentive. You start building intrinsic belief amongst other people. Give your consultants a platform to be recognized and celebrated, but also to show other people that it's possible. So please, please, please don't launch an incentive at the beginning of the month. Never speak about it again. And then at the end, don't honor it. It's the worst thing you can do. There's always 1 or 2 consultants that actually are meticulous. They might not say anything to you, but they know what incentive was launched. They know what they qualified for. You need to be the one who tells them. They shouldn't have to come and tell you as well. When you want to build energy, you've got to keep regular updates. Make it fun, make it exciting, make it pictures, make it vibey. Add some polls, add some comments. You know, there's so much that you can do. And if you're really stuck for ideas, there's this great program called ChatGPT. You just go onto there and you say, give me ideas to create energy around incentives. There's so much that you can do that fits into your style and your business, but don't do nothing. That's the worst thing that you can do. And then one lesson I learned really, really difficult or really, really hard in the beginning of my business was where there was a consultant that was so close to qualifying and I didn't push her. I didn't push her because in my mind, I thought she had seen her sales because I would update my consultants the last 5 days, I would show them where they were tracking. Her mind didn't correlate that she needed to get to 4,000. So she got stuck on 3,600. And had I sat with her or even just sent a simple voice note and said to her, listen, you've got one more order to go and you can get that incentive, I would have got a much different result from her. Now, I know some of us will swing some people over to keep them going, but it's even better if you can take somebody by the hand and say, can you see how close you are to getting this handbag? Can you see how close you are to getting the sunglass? One more order. Will it be collagen? Will it be Miracle Bee? Will it be shoes? Again, building that behavior and that understanding that they've got to put in efforts to get a reward as well. Recognition and reward is part of incentives. So any opportunity you can have to celebrate positivity, to celebrate even those one orders, you're building into the longer version of what incentives can do for your business. If you've taken your foot off incentives, it's okay. Start tomorrow. You don't have to wait for the beginning of the month. In fact, I would really, really not encourage you to wait for the beginning of the month. Any momentum you build now over the last 12 days will take you through November and can actually guarantee you quite a busy December before we close off as well. It's all about the strategy that you put behind your incentives as well. And so off of last week's, and I thought I would share mine with you today, is I'm doing a 12-day challenge. It's exactly what Roberta shared. It's exactly what Corne said that she did. It's exactly the same. I've got the Canva design. You're welcome to have it and edit it. But every day I'm telling people if they sell one item at 250 Rand per day. So this was today's challenge. Obviously, we had 12 days left. That will equate to 3,000 Rand sales. So instead of flipping it the other way around and showing them the big scary number at the front, I showed them if you could just sell one item every single day from now till month end, and it's month end. So remember, more people have access to more money. You would get to 3,000 Rand sales. And again, underneath there, I said, and approximately 600 Rand in earnings. Now, remember, I should have done the 17%, but that was just off the 20%, but it's neither here nor there. I want to show them that when they work, they get great sales, which means they get great commission, plus they get their flip-flops. And so I was insanely surprised when I actually went to the shop because I didn't trust online. I still have trust issues with technology. So I went to the shop the other day and I walked around multiple different shops and I saw the cutest, funkiest flip-flops at the most ridiculous prices, some as little as 40 Rand. And again, the perceived value of this is so much higher because it's almost like someone is choosing something for you or gifting you something that you can choose. Sorry, that's what I mean. Because I've picked certain styles from certain stores, and I'm saying you can pick your shoe size and you can pick your style. So when you qualify, don't just send me your shoe size, choose one that you would like as well. And so this is a really, really cost-effective way to build sales over the next 12 days. But again, if I don't send this out tomorrow and show everybody who's achieved and what they've achieved, it's already fallen flat today. And so just remember to keep the energy around your incentives and to make sure that you are really, really focused on sharing what we have. And that's all from our side on incentives. Corne, any last words from you?
Yeah, after our conversation last week when we started speaking about the incentives, sorry, I actually walked past one of these little flyers, that advertises all the groceries on special. And even if these items, you feel that this is not your team, maybe you look at this and you say, listen, they don't understand what my team needs. You understand what your team needs. And maybe some of your sales consultants would love groceries. Would it be, I don't know, coffee, tea, and sugar? Would it be maybe her favorite coffee pods? Would it be maybe, I don't know. And that is the part where that conversation with your sales consultant is so important. You know what? I always say to people, if you want to buy me a present, buy me coffee. Don't buy me a chocolate, buy me coffee. And maybe you've got that kind of a sales consultant in your team that loves coffee. Or one incentive that I did one year. I think it was over Christmas. I think I drove my last orders before Christmas. And what I did, I kid you not, I bought a box of Rice Krispies and then a cones, those little ice cream cones, and a tin of condensed milk. And my aim was to spoil the children. So I worded my whole incentive around the children because I know the road to a mother's heart goes through her children and most of all their stomachs most of the time. So I made a whole thing around it. And when they received the incentive, when she received the incentive, I wrote on the box of cones, I wrote a message to the children. And I wrote, dear mother, these are to be eaten in one go, and mum may not stop us. By law, the honey tunny, or something like that. And it was the most fun incentive that my team would come and say, can we do the cones and the Rice Krispies again? So it's really about thinking outside the box, doing something different, doing what your team needs, and then just drive the excitement around it and act crazy. It's really actually, I can nearly say that simple.
We've had one good question after this as well, is to say, when you're running your incentives, do you do them on paid or ordered? And I want to say to you, incentives can only be honored if they're paid. So I give a ordered total, but my conversation around payments happens separately. I don't want to now bring admin into what's supposed to be fun, and then someone thinks they're on track and they're not on track. So I will always say orders secured, waiting to be paid, so that people know it's paid orders only. But I think don't drag your admin process into the incentive. Keep that fun, but keep the payments at the back to say, listen, you're sitting on X amount of open orders. I really want you to get this incentive. Please make sure your payments are in on time. But that is a very, very good question, because we don't want to be honoring incentives where we're not going to have honored sales. And again, that goes to the strategy that we need to implement when we are creating that. I love that Rice Krispies idea. I love the note to the kids that you must have been a very popular honey tunny for some and not for others. All right, so we will send this recording through to you guys tomorrow with some of the notes. And again, I want to say, if you need help with your incentive, if you're still not getting right with the costing, just pop a message. Let's help you get that right. Even if it's all on tomorrow, there's no greater time to start than tomorrow. But put some strategy in, put a little bit of craziness in, and you figure out how you want to run this. Is it a long game? Is it a quick game? But whatever you do, make sure you have the energy and the momentum behind it.
And I think also when you have done your incentive, share it with us.
Yeah.
Post what it is that you're doing. Because you know what, sometimes just the way you've worded it makes it completely different, or makes another person trigger that one thought pattern in their mind. So I'm really looking forward to see what you are doing in your teams.
That sounds amazing. All right. So I think that's us
Thank
for
you so
tonight.
much.
Have a beautiful evening. Happy incentive planning and good luck for month end. We'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Night. Bye.